going live, and I was inspired by an article from 2X Marketing. So I want to give a shout out to Dominic Colasante for this article, but let me put my frame on it. So the article from 2X Marketing was called How CFOs, it's essentially how do you justify or how do you introduce marketing support as a service for revenue growth, or how do you introduce offshoring or outsourcing as a budgetary line item to your CFO. So I want to take my own spin on this. So imagine you are the chief revenue officer, chief marketing officer, and you are trying to acquire talent, resources to be able to help you in your line of business, marketing or sales. And you need to convince the founder or the chief revenue officer or chief finance officer how we can justify these. So here's what I want you to think about. When you're talking to the business owner or you're talking to the CFO, what is critical is X will cost Y will derive Z. I want you to think about this. X resources will cost Y will derive Z. This isn't about luck or feel. This isn't about subjection. This isn't qualitative. I would start with hard facts. And when you explain things to people, explain them as here's the situation, here's the challenge or the opportunity, and then here is the resolution that I recommend. So, in doing so, here's what I want you to think about in explaining this. Here's the situation. We are resource constrained. We can't get you the lead flow that you want. We can't kick off these programs because what's happening in the business right now is we have too few resources working on too many things. And also, we're asking Johnny here to do 17 things, and 16 of them he's not very good at. It's because we're so resource constrained that our marketing manager, we're asking to do everything in paid, earned, and owned, yet that's not really what they do for a living. So the power of, now here's the opportunity or the challenge. The challenge is that we don't have the money. It's $75,000. And actually, I did a post about this yesterday. In Austin, Texas, a social media manager averages $62,000 a year. Or this marketing manager is asking for $75,000 a year. Or this BDR wants $80,000 a year that we don't have. Or the opportunity is, typically with offshoring, the leverage opportunity is we can now hire 3 people or 5 people or 10 people. It depends on where in the world you're hiring, to do the same job that we're asking somebody to do in North America with 1 person. So the leverage is we have 3 people working on 3 campaigns, or 5 people working on 5 things, or 10 people working on 10 things. We're going to go 3, 5, and 10 times faster. We're going to do 3, 5, and 10 times more things for the same dollar. Or now the opportunity cost. We don't need to spend the same dollar. We can spend 3, 5, and 10 times less. So what does that create for you? That creates you, business owner, you chief financial officer. We can now deploy budgets into things that you've always wanted to do that we didn't have before, because we are getting 3 to 10 times our money back. And every dollar saved on a 20% EBITDA business is $5 you don't need to go sell. Now you can redeploy this capital into other things. So that's how I want you to think about the first point of the article. And I put the article in the show notes to this particular live stream. That's how I would first introduce this idea and what they wrote in this article for 2X Marketing was create a positive and immediate impact on your P&L. That's exactly where I'd be starting. Now, the P&L, the CFO's entire responsibility, and if you're talking to the founder, it's typically their money. And when you're talking about their money and you talk about capital deployment and then, readjusting capital deployment into things that they've always wanted to do, and it might be you've wanted to acquire another business. Here's where we can get the capital to do it. You've wanted to launch that new product or service. Here's where we can get the capital. You want to pay yourselves bigger dividends. You can get the capital to do so. So the second point in the article that 2X Marketing wrote was scale up or down with an always-on global operating model. And I can't stress this enough. Okay, let's back up and look at employment situations here in North America. Now, depending on what state or province you live in, you have something that a lot of us as founders, and I had to learn this the hard way. I went through a merger and acquisition in 2017, and I was going through due diligence, and I didn't know this thing called a deferred liability. What the hell is a deferred liability? Deferred liability is costs that haven't been incurred yet. And the biggest cost that hasn't been incurred when you're employing somebody is severance. So, scaling up or down, you hire somebody in North America, and depending on what state or province you live in, you have a more litigious environment. There's more employee rights in those markets. And so now you could owe months or years of severance when you bring on somebody in that local market if things don't work out well. It's unfortunate, right? But if you look at the natural attrition of most companies, the natural voluntary or non-voluntary and voluntary attrition, so it ranges between 20 and 33%. So you're going to have turnover, and that's going to cost you. So you employ somebody and you have an operating expense of their salary. You have a deferred liability of severance, and you have CapEx. You need to go buy computers, desks, phones. Maybe it's a Regis or a WeWork office, or you have an office, and you have to account for the fact that your insurance premiums go up as you hire people into a market. Your general liability insurance goes up. You have internet. You have all the capital expenses to employ somebody. And what the team at 2X is describing is, don't you want flexibility? Because maybe your revenue isn't as smooth as you think it is. You want to be able to grow up or down as projects grow up or down, as revenue goes up and down. This is that opportunity. You partner with somebody where you pay a singular fee. And that singular fee, again, typically is 3, 5, 10 times less than it would be in North America. But now you don't have all these capital expenses and these operational expenses. A great partner probably already has some of the software packages that you need to execute the very programs that you want. You don't have to go buy those. So now not only are you preventing, being saddled with an operational expense that you have to pay, whether they're being productive or not, whether you can afford to pay it or not. You have to buy software and computers and internet and all the things that what if things don't work out 4 months from now? Now you've got a computer sitting in your back office, and you've got empty desks in your office. So you can scale up and down in 30-day increments or 90-day increments as you please. These are benefits that really, ring a bell for a business owner, really ring a bell for a CFO. Now all of a sudden they recognize, oh my God, I have all this optionality. I'm mitigating massive amounts of risk. You're telling me that on the assumption that we can recruit great talent, onboard that talent, we can create great communication flows. Let's assume the output of the talent is equal. I then have 3 to 10 times operating leverage. Well, now all of a sudden, this is a business model that creates real growth opportunity in the business. These are the type of investments that people want to make. So I hope that you found this valuable. This is how it was explained to me. This is how I started this process around offshoring. I awoke to realizing that these were the benefits. I tested them. I then scaled my company, Sales for Life, and then Pipeline Signals, all use offshore talent, got myself out of debt, grew up profits, reaped the rewards of dividends for my family as a shareholder and investor in the business, and now built an agency, Get Leverage, to be able to help small to medium businesses with overcoming these very same resource constraint challenges, specifically in sales and marketing. So I hope you found this valuable, and we'll see you